As you see, Lauren is not available today. She is traveling right now. So we do have Joel, and we have our Meet the School member, Ike Hobbs. He's been on before, but maybe people in the school community don't know him that much yet. So, morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning, man.
Good to have you guys on. And yeah, let's definitely, like I said, Ike, you've been on a few times. But maybe quickly, 60-second spill, who you are, where you invest, and maybe your backstory a little bit.
60-second spill is I invest and live in the middle of the U.S. and Kansas, live in Wichita, and invest about an hour away with most of my stuff in a couple of small towns where I was living for a while and then just kept buying even when I moved out of there. So most of my stuff's like small multifamily duplexes. Just got a quad done and a few single family, but manage everything myself currently and just trying to scale that up right now. So
All right, very cool. Yeah, like I said, so you are a firefighter also. I don't know if kind of the thumbnail, if you did see it, it kind of talks about retirement. I mean, that was definitely kind of my part of my I guess jump into real estate was realizing that just relying on the pension and retirement was kind of a risky thing to do. But I don't know about you. Was that kind of why you also jumped into real estate? Did you look at your retirement, or how did that all fall into place for you?
my story is a little bit complicated when it comes to that, but I was doing some real estate stuff before I even got into fire. And then when I did become a firefighter, yeah, it was something where I was like, the pension can be okay. In the Midwest, we're not the highest paid. Nothing wrong with that, but it is one of those things that almost everybody I work with on the job also has a side hustle, also has things that they're doing. But for me, doing real estate was one of those things where I wanted to have another avenue of income that could actually scale over time, because firefighting pays the bills, but real estate investing is something I'm pretty passionate about on a personal level, but also in the future, it's something that I hope can replace my income.
Now, I think you might be the first person on that has invested in Kansas. Oh no, yeah, Kansas, right? So, I don't know if Joel knows or works with a lot of people that are in that market. Tell us about that market also a little bit, real quickly.
So there's different levels to everything. So I live in Wichita, which is the biggest city in Kansas. Um, that's where I work as a firefighter, and I've actually got a house hack where I live at here in this city. But most of my stuff, like I was saying earlier, is about an hour away in a couple of small towns. They're about 10,000 people in population, both of the towns. And that's kind of where I got started because I was working there for a while. And so what I mostly deal with is a lot of old homes and a lot of old landlords that have stopped maintenance, stopped doing stuff. They take cash from their tenants. They do a lot of stuff through paper, and they don't keep up with a lot of things. So a lot of the rentals that I buy and rehab, I end up being one of the nicest places in that little town, which has really helped when I'm renting stuff out. And if we get to it later, I do have some pictures of like some of the projects that I started, and it's nothing fancy. Like I've been in rentals in the Seattle area. I've seen a lot of other people's works, and like what we're doing is not a whole lot fancier than anybody else is doing. But for where I'm at, it's quite a bit better than what is usually available on the market.
I do see a lot of people tuning in. I see retired firefighter FDNY, Stephen from the Bronx tuning in, and I see Janelle from school who we're trying to also get on the Meet the School member Wednesday. She says she's a little camera shy, so we're trying to convince her it's it's safe to come on, have a lot of fun, just share your story. I do see Josh tuning in, but yeah, I also like for you, Joe, do you work with a lot of people in that market that Ike's in, or?
So, because you have Kansas City that's on the border between Missouri and Kansas, um, a few cities, Liberty North, Overland Heights or Overland Park. A few people there. My brother lives in Kansas City, so I do some business here or there in that market. It's I would say similar to St. Louis in some regards, but there's some very very high priced areas, but there's also some areas that are a little bit lower priced. than St. Louis, relatively speaking. So I know a little bit.
I'd also want to give a quick shout out to, I believe, Cody Davis and Justin Camber should be streaming live also at this time for their Wednesday live stream. So go jump over there, comment, like, subscribe. Joe's also streaming live, so go check out his channel also. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. He has a lot of I don't think all your episodes came out, right? From your Texas meetup or event, right?
Not yet, not yet. But we have Brandon's first part came out. Trisha Gonzalez came out, and then the whiskey bar owner, Tanner's came out. So they're just first parts, and then we'll have multiple parts come out.
Yeah, I told you we don't speak of Brandon's name around here anymore since he broke up with me. Right?
We don't, but I do.
But Trisha Gonzalez will be joining us in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, she'll be the Wednesday guest with us. But Ike, I think a lot of it too is you kind of want to talk about just getting started, right? Like it's not that hard. I think there's a lot of noise out there right now, and I think a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines. And even for yourself, I remember I could be wrong, but I believe like the first time maybe we talked or you reached out was. I always give you a hard time that you may have came off as you're calling yourself an introvert, right? And that's part of the maybe just getting started kind of thing, right? So I even see you a lot on X right now, commenting, sharing your story. So people can follow Ike on X. He's primarily there, I believe. But yeah, talk about that, Ike, as far as just getting started.
Yeah. So part of my story is I did a lot of analysis paralysis. Like I spent several years looking at real estate, several years thinking about ways to do it. I was on Bigger Pockets probably over a decade ago, doing stuff, looking around, asking questions. Went to a couple of meetups here in Wichita and things like that. And it was just one of those things where I was just trying to find the hack to become wealthy quick, and I couldn't find it. And so it was something that I kept putting off investing in real estate because I couldn't find a good deal. I didn't have the money. That was one of my big deals at the beginning of like, I don't have the money to be able to put 20% down and then have reserves, 6-month reserves. As if you start going down this path, and you've talked about this in a few of your last shows, but if you start going down the path of like just building more and more information, you just come up with more and more reasons that you can't get involved. And so I went through a few life things between 2015 and 2020. I was living in a different state. And then when I moved back to Kansas, that was one of my goals of like, I don't care what's going to happen. Maybe I lose money, but I'm going to figure a way to actually get involved. And so that's the first deal that I did ended up being a pretty good deal, had some hiccups. And then from there, it's just kind of been growing. But for me, it was just pulling the trigger on something that I thought may or may not work out. Now that I look at the numbers with a little bit of experience, I'm like, oh yeah, that was obviously going to work out. But when I was first starting, I was really scared. I did the FHA 3.5% down, and I did all the work myself on the place. But I was pretty convinced. I was like, I might just have to go keep picking up more shifts and be able to pay this mortgage with what little I have. And I was like, well, worst case scenario, I hang on to it for a couple of years and then get rid of it. And turns out it doesn't work that way. So,
Joel, did you have a question or anything? But before we do, Josh is saying Josh Burdick is saying, be grateful you don't have rentals in Springfield, Missouri. They got hammered yesterday with baseball-sized hailstorm. Is that far from you, Joel?
It's like 4 hours. 3 or 4 hours.
Well, big hailstorms make it insurance pay for your new roof. So
that is true.
There's benefits to everything.
Yeah, well, see that I think that is like you're saying, that is the kind of approach and attitude. And like I said, I don't know, I always relate that to kind of maybe the first responder type of thing, where you kind of just got to figure it out. And like you said, that attitude that you're having is a pros and cons for everything to some extent, right? We just kind of got to figure it out. Harrison is asking though, Ike, how rewarding has it been to build up your market?
I mean, I'm still very much, I would say if kindergarten is when you buy your first house and first grade is when you buy your second one and actually start kind of scale, I'm maybe second grade. Like I'm very much in the beginning of my journey, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I like the work. When we talk about the Three Amigos, when you have Dion on there trying to retire and Lumberjack just out there doing stuff, like I'm definitely more along his line of like I like doing these projects. I would do more if I had the time and the money, and I just kind of finished a couple of weeks where I probably did get over my head a little bit, and so kind of coming out of that. But it is one of those things that I really enjoy this. I find it very rewarding. Not necessarily financially because I'm putting everything right back in, but
Well, you're still in that 5 years of suck, right? That they talk about, right? So Joe, do you see? I mean, you must see it right now, right? Do a lot of people reach out to you now, looking maybe to get started or buy something, and they just don't hear back from them? Like just with so much noise in the markets right now.
Yeah, I mean, people have interests and they think they want to, jump in. They maybe watched a bigger pockets or a certain video or a book, and they come in all gung ho, and then you go deeper into it, and then they fall off. But I just don't right now in this market. I'm not coming across a lot of first time investors unless it's somebody who's buying the next primary and going to turn the old one into a rental. It's more, hey, I've got one or two, I'm going to get the next one, kind of a scenario. So,
you
I
think
mean,
that's
it's go ahead.
is that a market thing or is that just the people that you're starting to focus on?
I think it's both. I mean, it's both. I mean, like kind of the first time home buyer segment. I mean, people are scared to buy, people can't afford to buy. So you have that part going on. And the people who are wanting to get into rentals, I mean, it's hard to make a deal pencil in most markets. So that part is challenging too. I mean, the best operators are having a hard time finding good deals. And then if you're experienced, you're going to be more willing to jump into something that's going to need work. If you're not experienced, that's going to be more of a challenging uphill battle to get into something that needs a lot of work. But that by default, that means it's going to be hard to find deals.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think we're getting back to the newbies, the entry level novices are going to be less of the norm. It's going to be more experienced operators, as time goes on, which means less competition for people that are already in the game. But the people that are determined to get in the game, and there's ways to do it. It's just a matter of how to navigate. And that was one of the things I wanted to ask you, Ike, because you mentioned that you're in Wichita, and a couple of the rentals you have are in smaller towns outside the city limits, I guess. Like, how far out are we talking?
So about 45 minutes to an hour. So
Which
when I moved back
direction?
south,
Oh,
so
no shit. Okay.
more along the Oklahoma-Kansas border. So when I first moved back to Kansas, I worked for a small department right on the Kansas-Oklahoma border, and that's where I first got my first investment, and then kind of built from there. So now that I work in Wichita, when I moved up here, I rented for a year after owning a few rentals, and then I've got a small house right now that I've got with the ADU in the back, and that's where I'm living right now. So, but most of mine are in a small town, so a little different.
Yeah, I mean, how is the demand for rent there, versus say Wichita, and the price difference?
So kind of what I said in the beginning comes true a lot. So the price to purchase ratio is fantastic. These properties cash flow very well. The appreciation is non-existent. So that's something I have to keep in mind. As far as like when I fix these up and make them decent and make them look like they're clean, like they're taken care of, and not something that somebody's going to have to move in and have a lot of issues with, I'll put something on Facebook and I'll have 20 people contact me within the first day. And so far, I've been really, really fortunate with the tenants that I've got. I've got, a couple of problem tenants that just ask me a lot of questions and have a lot of maintenance issues. But other than that, like I've gotten fantastic tenants. And so far that's worked out pretty good. But the rental demand's pretty good because most of the people I'm working with are competing with they don't do the maintenance on the properties. Their properties are outdated. If they think it's a modern property, it's got carpet everywhere and the old pastel cream paint, things like that. So the fact that mine just feel a little bit more modern and new really helps. And then both of the towns have like a brand new apartment complex in them, but those are pretty poorly run as well. So I'm kind of that sweet spot in the middle.
So is your goal to just own the city in like 10 years?
Not quite. I actually wanted to buy more in Wichita this year, and I've been networking so long down there in the two towns that I started having stuff just start falling to my lap. And so I don't know that I'll even get around to buying anything in Wichita this year because I've had some pretty good deals come up down there, and it just keeps building. So
Before we talk about that, like networking and just getting started and now deals coming your way, you kind of talked about your market maybe having no appreciation, so that kind of leads into maybe a little bit of Harrison's question. What kind of growth do you see in your market? Is manufacturing building up? Automated farming companies? Have you been affected by the beef shortage?
Those are actually pretty good questions. So Wichita itself has a relationship with Boeing Spirit Manufacturing, and we produce a lot of the small business jets as well. So Wichita, Kansas is kind of an interesting town because we do a lot of manufacturing, and where I'm investing about 45 minutes away, there's some manufacturing there. There's some normal jobs there, some agricultural related stuff, but that a lot of people commute north to Wichita because it's only about a 45-minute commute. And so a lot of the people that I'm working with, they're either working in Wichita or they're working in like in a school or something in that area that helps. So far we've seen pretty steady growth as far as jobs and stuff in the area. There is a meat packing plant in the area that provides a lot of jobs, and they keep growing. So far the beef issue has not been an issue for us down here. But if it does, it is something I've actually paid attention to, because if they do start scaling back that packing plant, that could have some big ripple effects.
Now, I kind of always go back to a little bit, like I said, you came off as somewhat of an introvert. You maybe introduce yourself to me the first time, and
Oh yeah.
like I said, now I see you on X sharing your story. You came to the Vegas event year 3, your social networking, putting yourself out there, showing what you're doing. And then you just talked about deals coming your way, almost as if there's more deals than you can take on right now. So talk about that you putting yourself out there, and like you're saying, just sharing what you're doing and how deals are coming your way.
Yeah. So part of it is, like I said, I'm still like, we met in person there in Vegas, but you probably noticed I'm still not like the type A stereotypical firefighter with the big personality. I'm much more of the like, hey, watch, observe, see what's going on, learn, and sit back. One-on-one conversations I do pretty good with, like something like this, it's fine, but put me in a big group and I'm probably going to be like, all right, I'm going to sit back and observe. And Vegas was interesting, but I try to do a lot down here too. There's a small landlords group in one of those towns that we get together. There's other people that I know that are invest, and I do make an effort to kind of get out and go meet them and try to say, hey, what's working for you? What's not working? What are you guys dealing with? What are you struggling with? As far as like deals, I started, there's a real estate meetup group that I go to in Wichita monthly. And one of the things when I go to those is like, I try to meet 2 people and I try to take away one thing from the meetup. And back in November, October, had some guy, I don't remember his name. He's like some guy that goes around and talks at these things. And he's talking about, all these different ways of marketing. And one of his things was yard signs. And so I just put up a yard sign at one of my projects, and March came. I got a few like bullshit stuff from that sign. And then March came and we got some property tax issues in this county, and my phone blew up and I ended up getting 2 deals. think because of the timing, pretty much related to property taxes. But they called me because I had a yard sign out, and then another person just reached out to me out of the blue, and they're like, "Hey, so and so says that you're still buying down here. What do you think of this? Can you do this and get it off my hands?" So it's little stuff like that, and I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I am trying to like put my name out there so that when people think about real estate and think about investing in this area, they know that I'm doing it and that I come to mind. Because my biggest issue right now is finding private money, and I've got a couple of people that have been really helpful with that, but I tapped them out already. So that's literally the only reason I post on LinkedIn or X or some of that stuff is like I'm trying to build a track record so that the next time I'm trying to raise more money, somebody can do some research and be like, okay, this guy didn't pop up last week. He's been around a little bit doing stuff and being consistent.
Yeah, the posting on X. I haven't checked out LinkedIn at all. Unfortunately, I'm not there, but I see you on X.
You
Is
are
that
on LinkedIn. You just don't know how to log in. I tag you every time.
Thank you, Mark, for making me be on LinkedIn. But was that you mentioned being more of an introvert. Was that something that was a hurdle to get over? Because you're consistent. I see you posting and commenting.
I go back a long ways with X. For some reason, it's. I know I'm not anonymous on there, but it feels a little bit more anonymous because it is something that like I might have a couple of family members on there, but other than that, it's all random people. And so I'm kind of like, hey, if somebody's taking the time to go get on a platform like that, then I'm not going to be very filtered on there. So I like it. I like, as far as like monetization or something like that, I don't think I'll probably ever get to that point because they keep moving those posts. And also that's not really my goal with it, but I've learned some stuff. I've reached out to a couple of people. I've met 2 people here locally that found me on there and we connected. So it's been good. I actually like it, but at the same time, I kind of use it to let off some steam. I'm quite a bit more snarky and sarcastic on there, if you notice, than a lot of other places. So
I just want to clarify that I didn't create Joel's LinkedIn account. He's had one from like 3 companies back, I believe, and he's still on there, but he has no idea how to access it. But yeah, but so like I think a lot of times we jump on the school calls, or you see a lot of posts and people are always asking, how do I scale and grow? And they're always trying to figure out how to access capital or funds, right? And then I'm like, no one really knows what you're doing, right? You're not talking about it, you're not putting yourself out there. And like you said, right? I mean, you're not there to get monetized, but you're just kind of sharing what you're doing on X. I see you posting pictures of even shit that happened, right? Like, this, I gotta fix this now, or this came up, right? And yet, like you're saying, like now people are reaching out to you. It's easier for you to find private money and whatnot. So I think that's the big takeaway that people have to realize is you're not trying to toot your own horn kind of thing, like you're saying, right? You're just sharing your story.
Yeah. And I posted a few YouTube videos, but I don't do a lot with that because it just takes so much time for me to do that. Even non-editing YouTube videos, it hasn't been up my alley, but I've done a few and I'll probably keep doing a few. It's just not in my wheelhouse. But what I want is when I've got Joe and Sherry that are like thinking about, hey, we found this guy at a meeting and he says he knows what he's doing, for them to be able to like Google me or get on, other places and be like, hey, does he know what he's doing? And instead of being like, oh yeah, he's posted 25 posts in the last week, instead they can be like, no, this guy's like posted stuff for 2, 3, 4 years. So obviously he's been around a little bit, and look, he's getting dirty. He's done this stuff and he's been involved with it. So that's, I'm not expecting a return on a lot of that stuff here in the next year, but in the next, 3 to 5 years is when I'll probably start hitting that a lot harder as far as trying to monetize and get investors and things like that from it. That's all I'm doing right now, is trying to build a base there. So
yeah, totally agree. Because it's like it's a lot of it is just consistency, right? It's just getting in the habit of doing something daily. And Joe's very good at that, putting out content on his platforms daily. So I think, yeah, I think it's super helpful. And then, like you said, I think it just helps you be a little more confident when you go to meetups and, you're able to talk about yourself and communicate what you're doing. And it just shows a level of confidence in what you're doing. But for you, you kind of talked about also too, like, the Three Amigos, Dion, Lumberjack. But for you, what is the end goal? What is the financial freedom look like for you?
To be honest, that answer is a little bit up in the air for me right now. So I have a goal that has about 2 more years left on it that I'm reaching for, and then where I go from there is very much up in the air. Because I think when I started, I probably wanted to do more of the Dion type of like, I want a certain amount of properties and I don't want to worry about them, and I want to go sit on a beach somewhere. And what I've kind of knew and kind of has been confirmed through these 4 years that I've been doing stuff is like, I really like doing it. I really like changing some of these places, making them an asset to the city, giving good housing to people that deserve it, and actually making an impact and actually having a way to impact the people around me. And so right now that impact's like super tiny, it's very small, but I can see it growing and something that I would like to expound upon in the future. So
It's not like Joel's just sit around and at the bar watching the game, right? Joe, you remember that? Like, we were talking about kind of if you were financially free or what the end goal is, and you're just like, I don't want to do shit.
Oh yeah, I'll just sit around and do nothing.
Well, but yes, yeah, but yeah, like you said, you're putting in the work now, and then everyone has different goals, and it could change. Like Ike was saying, like right in the beginning, maybe he had a little bit more vision of being like Dion, but now he, like he says, he enjoys maybe a little bit more like what Lumberjack's working on, and I don't know if he wants to get as that big portfolio, but I think he likes getting his hands dirty and doing a lot of the work, on his own. But like also, you kind of talked about your first property. It seems, like it's. I think you mentioned it's a good deal, or it was a good deal, but
yeah.
did it go as planned? I mean, would you buy it today? Like if you were looking back now and you were starting today, was that something that you would purchase?
So I know this question gets asked sometimes, and I think what gets lost is like where you're at today is quite a bit different than you were 4 years ago. So for me, if that property came for sale today, I would not buy it. But 4 years ago, it was a great property. And for what I needed to do and what I was working with and what I needed to prove to myself, it was a fantastic property. So yes, if I had to go back 4 years ago and was in that time period, absolutely, I'd buy it again. But right now, there's a couple of issues with it that I'm having to deal with that would make it not something I would buy. But I get a little frustrated when I see people start getting bigger and doing stuff, and then they're like, "Oh, you got to start here. Like, don't ever buy, single family. You got to always start with a triplex or a fourplex because it's more leverage. Or don't go to the small towns, start in the big towns because you can leverage more." Or all this sort of stuff. And it's like sometimes you just got to work with what you got. And so yes, for what I was working with back then and what I needed to do, it was a fantastic property, and I'm really glad I made it. So
one of the things that I think is interesting is that you hear the word personal brand all the time, and I mean it's the same thing as reputation. And what you're talking about is you built a reputation in that area of having the nicer, well done units, and like that is powerful when you fast forward the clock and keep doing that. I mean, the side by sides, like have you ever put together like a side by side? Hey, this is a unit that's on the market, a picture versus like how yours look on the market. I'd be curious to see how they look.
No, because most of the people aren't putting pictures like that. Like a lot of that would be interesting to do, but I track everything. It's a small town. It's 10,000 people in one town, about 10,000 in the other. And I'm very involved in the Facebook groups. I'm very involved in watching what's on Marketplace, things like that, because that is primarily where a lot of stuff gets posted. And
Marketplace,
and for this area. And a lot of landlords, if they do bother to put it online like that, instead of just only put a sign in the yard, they'll just put a photo of the front of the house, and that's it. So
Yeah.
we're coming in there. It's not professional photography, but it's okay, like photos, and we're actually trying to show it off and then respond quickly to messages. And then we kind of throw people for a loop, because we do have, hey, here's the online link that you need to apply on, but usually we can show it to you first, because there are a lot of scams out there. So we're down to like show it most of the time before they apply.
Has anybody asked you to manage their properties? Yes. Is that a yes or no?
They've asked. I'm not
going to entertain it.
It's in the works. Maybe. I struggle with the shiny object syndrome, so I'm very much.
Yeah. You do?
Listing that. So, yeah. And,
I was just thinking, because we had Cody on last week, and he went down that rabbit hole of managing other people's properties, and that's what he does now, I guess full time. But yeah, I don't know. It's obviously a lot more work, and would cut into your job. So I don't know.
Right. Right now, I'm not suffering for things to do, so it is. It is not something I'm doing right now. It's something I've thought about, because it would allow me to scale up, and like I'm kind of hitting that really sore spot where I have enough that I could hire people to do a lot of it, but not enough to bring someone on full time. So managing for other people can help me do that, but I haven't.
I'm sorry. There's somebody, I heard a story about somebody in a small town, I think in Georgia, where they did that, and then they were able to scoop up a portfolio, like seller financing with little money into the deal, picked up like, I don't know, 20 something doors.
Yep.
But again, that's like long term. But
yeah.
Yeah, Brady Morgan, like I said, he has a good YouTube channel out in Wyoming. He also wrote a book. It's on Amazon, but he's kind of agreeing with what you were saying, Ike. He says, kind of how I feel about my first couple properties, not what I would do now with the skills and knowledge I've acquired, but they were great for where I was when I started.
Yeah.
I know you also had coffee with, now, like I said, I don't mention his name on this channel anymore. But no, you did have a coffee with Brandon, I know, a while back.
Yeah.
But Harrison is
in person.
Yeah.
No way. Where at? Like in Oklahoma or in Dallas?
In Dallas. No, I was just going through Dallas, so hit him up.
Cool.
Yeah. But Harrison's asking, Ike, would you ever pivot to build to rent? Like, would that work well in your market, do you think?
I really like what Brandon's done with that, or the person you're talking about has done with it.
The person known as BP.
I see a lot of advantages to that, but that's not where I'm at right now. So I think that would be a few years further down the road, and would result in I have a lot of respect for what Brandon's doing, and I totally get why he's doing it. I've got kind of a sweet spot that I'm starting to outgrow, of buying really old properties, really rundown properties, and being able to fix them up, refinance, and get my money back. So right now, as long as I can keep doing that and scaling that, but I think that the scale on that tops out a lot quicker than when you can actually go hire a contractor like Brandon's doing and get somebody to build it for you. So I've admired that a lot, and I think that's kind of a 4 or 5 year down the road type goal, but not where I'm at right now.
Well, you should reach out to Brady. He's probably better at it. But Brady does build to rent also in his market, so he's another person you could probably pick his.
What market is he in?
He's in Wyoming.
He
like I said, his YouTube channel. You'll find his email on his YouTube channel. If you go to the description, you can connect with him there. He does build to rent in his area. But like I said, I also want to talk about, just like you said, just getting started. Don't wait. I've talked about it a lot of times how, I've always tried to talk to the younger guys at the firehouse that, they got to start doing other stuff, doing things differently. Can't just rely on the pension. I forget how old you are and how much years you have in the service, but is that something, the other guys are seeing you doing? Are you trying to put them down this different path, also thinking differently a little bit?
To an extent, but not really. So I've only been on Wichita for about 3 years. So job time wise, that's pretty young, and life wise, I'm a little bit older than maybe most of them. So there's a lot of guys that like to come in, work really hard at the firefighting job, and then maybe work a little bit on their days off. And I'm kind of the opposite. I work 24 hours on, 48 hours off, and those 48 hours off, I'm a lot of times have my nose pretty hard to the grindstone. So
do they look at you like why are you doing it that way?
Yep. Because I've also got the beat up truck, or the messed up car in the parking lot, rather than the nice fancy one. There's a lot of other things that go on that, like, I think a lot of them hear the horror stories and then they see my life and they're like, yeah, you're hitting your head against the wall. So, and I'm totally fine with that because I'm not there to prove a point in that way. So,
yep, absolutely. Yeah, Yasik making his those firefighter comments. I know you had some stuff you may want. Is that a new project you're working on right now, or?
Well, kind of the stuff, and I'll pivot a little bit. So it's not kind of the thing I'm getting more passionate about and trying to talk more about and share more about is I'm not very far along in this journey, but when I did finally pull that trigger and get started, things were a lot easier.
What is that? What are you messing with? Who?
That's the wrong screen you're sharing.
I'm just sharing what was on there. What are you messing with my page for?
Wrong one.
So now we know what Mark's been doing with his time off at work. He's been in the weight room. I like it.
Ike, what are you doing?
I was doing research. So one of the things, this photo won't make that a lot of sense.
I think I didn't share Joel's screen.
Anyway, one of the things that, like, when I first got started, what I was looking for was what we call grandma's house. And so I was trying to get an FHA loan on a house so I could only put 3.5% down and then do the rehab and stuff myself. And so I just threw some pictures together of a couple of the projects that I've done. And the thing I want to show, like, so this photo is just showing the inside of the duplex that I first bought. And every single room in this house had different colored carpet and different colored walls and was super ugly. And it sat on the market for quite a while. And so that worked out really well for me because it was very much a cosmetic rehab. Let's see if I can go back to it. When I went in and rehabbed it, and I did all the work myself. Like, I didn't hire anybody on this. I had a couple of friends help now and again, but everything that I did was all stuff that I was working on. So, and I don't care what they say, redoing wood floors is way harder than LVP. So, I just wanted to bring up some of these photos because I think people get a little bit worried about getting started and not having skills and not being able to do stuff. And it's not, I think you even put that on the tagline. It's not that hard, especially if you kind of know where your strengths and where your weaknesses are. So if somebody's getting in and they have no construction skills and no time, like, this house still would have been good because they could have rented it out with the carpet and with the ugly colors and all that, and then fix it up over time. But I went in the first couple of weeks and did all that. And it was a huge learning process for me. And that picture, one of those pictures where I'm like sitting on the floor and it's just like showing the paint and all that, like, there are several times during that project that I was like, I made a big mistake. Like, my only goal is to finish this, get it rented out, hope I don't get bad tenants, and, as soon as I can, sell it or do something else. And this is from somebody that's been looking at real estate for years and trying to do stuff with it. And yeah, that was still going on in the back of my head. So if someone's like just getting started or just trying, like I'm just here, like I've grown a lot since then, but there's still that when you get started, you don't know what you don't know, and it gets better. So that's the first duplex I did.
Like Stephen P from the Bronx says, yeah, like you said, our real estate investing would be great if all the firefighters would do it, but so many guys are working extra side jobs that they feel they don't have the time for real estate investing. Yep.
Yeah, and Steven, you probably see it. Then they get, a couple of decades on the job, and then they don't want to keep doing their side job, and that's when things get. If they've been investing like in their deferred comp or something over time, they'll probably be fine. But at the same time, it's something that they could be building. So for firefighters, investing in real estate is like a no-brainer, in my opinion. But
Brady Morgan says, yeah, LVP is a breeze. And Harrison says, looks great. Have tenants return the house back in that pristine condition?
so not that pristine, but I have yet to redo the floors. So the people that are in there this year, they just renewed, but I was planning if they moved out, was probably going to have to redo the floors again. So that's the other thing about hardwood finished floors in a rental is they do get scratched up pretty quickly. Whereas I've seen LVP in some of my units that got turned over, and it does a lot better. So if I had to do it over again, I probably wouldn't even refinish those floors. I'd probably lay LVP on top of it, which I know some people won't like, but I've learned to be a lot more efficient. But there again, it's all I had at that time was a lot of time. I remember going and paying for the polyurethane and being like, this is so expensive. I forget how much it was at that time, but it was $200 or something like that. And I was like, I'm going to have to work an extra half shift to be able to pay for some of this stuff. And then now I go to Lowe's and $500 goes out my wallet really fast, and it's kind of scary. So, but back then it was like any dollar I spent, I was pinching.
Ooh, I have a next. Joe, you got anything for him? Because I haven't.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the beginning that there are other firefighters doing side hustles or side jobs. I mean, what are some of the examples that you've seen people get into?
I mean, where I'm at, so not to get into a bigger topic, but like West Coast pays quite a bit better than Midwest and East Coast firefighters. But Midwest, we tend to have pretty good schedules, but not great pay on the job. So pretty much everybody that I work with, if they haven't been on the job for a couple of decades, then they're for sure doing either lawn care or building. Like there's some construction guys that get really deep into the construction, but a lot of times it's like building fences, building decks, building things like that. One of the guys I work with, he does go out and do like high-end pools, things like that. But for the most part, it's more that not handyman, but that level of stuff. So very hard to scale, but it can pay pretty well per hour while they're doing it.
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah. Well, before I get to some of these questions, do you see that a lot in your? Because I honestly don't see a lot of side stuff from the younger guys. There's so much overtime available now that guys just rack up overtime. That's
Yeah,
just for my department. Yeah.
yeah, I think it kind of depends. I pay attention to a lot of stuff. Where I'm at right now, they've done a pretty good job of hiring over the last 5 years. So the overtime's pretty limited. And so a lot of the guys that I work with for sure have a part-time job. I still work part-time at a fire department in one of the small towns. And there, most of the guys do the overtime thing versus having a side hustle. Because usually at least once a week or twice a week, they can get an overtime shift, and that pays a lot better. So they'd rather do that.
Not sure what Flavio says. It's great to meet you in Vegas, Ike.
I remember meeting him.
Let's squad those 400 PDS.
Pounds?
He probably meant to say pounds. LBS. Somebody's been doing research. Somebody found my OnlyFans.
James Hillis says, "Do you find that a certain size house rents faster?"
I don't know on that. So most of my stuff is a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, which when I started was not something I wanted because they say that in all the podcasts that that's a terrible size. But that's happened to be what I found good deals on. And like I said earlier, if I post something for rent, it's more about who we're taking, not if we can find someone. So I've yet to I've yet to have something sit on the market more than a week without having somebody at least apply and working on it.
Yeah, James Brady is answering James' question also. He says, "In my experience, and I believe this is typical in most markets, a 3-bed, 2-bath around 1,200, 1,600 tends to be the product in most demand for leasing." Yeah, I mean,
That'd be ideal. But
ideal, but like Gus, who's like has taken over Tuesdays from that other person. But like Gus mentioned, right? You gotta kind of know your market. So like I guess where he's at in Maine, I think it's Maine, but it's a lot of student housing. So for him, his kind of avatar clients are more like the one bed type of smaller unit. That's who he feels like he's leasing more to. So
yeah.
you also got to really know, the market that you're in, as far as who's going to be like your avatar or client. But Harrison is asking, what are your tools of choice? Like, are you brand loyal? Do you buy new or do you buy used classics?
Well, just go back to what Brady was saying. Like if Brady's building stuff, then yeah, he has to pay attention to what's ideal. I'm rehabbing what deals I find. So I'm pretty constricted by what's already there and just making it good versus building from scratch. So I think it kind of depends on what your investing strategy is. On the next question, I do all the way, but that's because once you start buying a couple of batteries, you get stuck in that. And I think they're just as good as Milwaukee, but really, power tools are about the only things that I'll buy new, and everything else I try to get at estate sales or things like that because I break stuff and lose stuff all the time.
Like I said, I think you posted on X, I believe. You kind of talked about how maybe some of your decisions or choices now is also time impacted, and then
Yep.
you kind of feel like maybe that's how you're progressing a little bit, right? Because initially it was always about saving money, but
Yes.
now it's also about time and efficiency, right? Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier when I was doing every single thing on that first project. Like if someone was helping me, they were doing it because I was giving them free beer or they're just being a good friend. Whereas now it's definitely kind of one of those things that I'm a control freak. I like to do jobs well and I like to see them get done correctly. So it's been a big step to step back and let other contractors and other people do this type of stuff. And that's where it goes back to what your goal is. My goal is to get quite a few more units. So to scale to that, I have to learn how to do this. But for another investor, if they're like, hey, I just want those 4 rentals that Zuber talks about, and I want to take my time getting those, then you can do a lot of this stuff on your own and it'll work out just fine. And you'll save a lot of money that way. You just won't grow very fast. And where I'm at right now is I have a lot of opportunities for growth and I'm very much limited on my time. So I'm trying to get better at that.
I love that. I think that's super important, and that, like you said, it kind of, like you say, you may not like the first 5 years suck, and so a lot of times all the money's going back into the portfolio. But these type of decisions, it's kind of a good determination of that you are making progress, right? You're starting
Yeah.
to see things differently, and now certain things is more about the time that you're saving than actually you yourself doing the work. I do see Jason tuning in. He said he got stuck in a meeting. Uh, I'll just throw it out there real quick. So yes, Ike is one of my new members for my channel. So like I said, Flavio is I didn't realize I had members set up on my channel, and then Flavio joined it, so I just rolled with it. And Ike is one of those, and James is one of those. But if you
Probably
haven't
got
know,
invited to the members only thing.
oh yeah, that's every yeah. Don't worry about it. But uh, you
I
got
paid my dues. I'm going to worry about it.
well, you so to Jason's point, he's going to start the live stream over later. If people haven't noticed, some of the live streams are members only for a little while, so you have to you may have to wait to get all this great information a little bit later if you're not a member. I see Big Cody Evers tuning in. Let's see, Brady Morgan. Construction management is one of the most valuable skills for real estate investors. Definitely recommend learning it to anyone interested.
Yes.
So, like I said, if you want to reach out to Brady, his YouTube channel, you'll find his description, his email in the description on his channel. Joe, look like you're going to ask something. Is that a
Just
question?
say YouTube is stupid. You should be like, I click on someone's name and it pops up report or block. I should be able to click on their name and then go to their profile in the comments at least. Like,
You should, yeah.
it's stupid. YouTube is missing out. Google's missing out on a lot.
Another thing with YouTube, just letting you guys know, I don't know, I think it's a new feature. James Hillis also mentioned it to me. So I don't know if it shows up on the live stream, but maybe on the videos, there's a hype feature now. So I think for smaller channels or smaller content creators, if you're watching the video, I think if you swipe, so there's the comments where you can type a comment, but if you swipe left or whatever, there's a hype feature to hype up these smaller channels. And I believe you can hype like 3 videos a week or something, because I did it with my fake channels enough already, and I can't do any more for my
Your
channel.
what channels?
I have different. You have a whole bunch of emails, right? So you have extra emails to get your watch views up in the beginning.
His other
So you got burner accounts like Kevin Durant. You talking shit out there?
Yeah, you got like my fake LinkedIn account. Like you had a LinkedIn account that you probably use to promote all your stuff, and you can't even have access to anymore. Hey, you should post your new information in school, because people were sharing your old information. I was on one of the calls and someone said, "Hey, dude, you know how to get a hold of Joe?" And they're sharing all your old contact information.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Yeah, like 3 companies ago that you worked with, I think.
Damn.
Interesting. Yeah. So Brady, there is a hype thing. Brady, if you are here, Esther is asking for your YouTube channel. Can you share it in the chat? I don't know if I still have it in my notes here. Hold on. Let me try to look real quick. Do I have it here? Hold on. Do I have Brady's? Oh, I do have it here. I do not have your book link though, Brady, but you're welcome to share your Amazon book that you wrote. But there is Brady's YouTube channel, and you'll find in the description, you should have his email also, and you can reach out to him there. Just pull the timer bar back to I'm talking about after. Oh yeah, there's Brady's YouTube channel. So yeah, go connect to Brady also. Yeah, anything else you guys want to touch on? I mean, Joe, you had any other questions? Let's see. I want to also, I mean, if you got nothing, Joe, I do want to, I always love to talk. Like, I always relate maybe my journey or my maybe decision making to the firehouse or first responders, right? So like, I don't know if you feel that way. Like, does it kind of relate to, well, like you said in the beginning, maybe you had analysis paralysis, right? I don't know, and it took you a while, but I see the first responder kind of mindset is kind of, we're never going to know enough or all the information that, we kind of got to just take it for what we see and then jump in and you kind of figure it out, right? So has that maybe helped you along once you started getting into it?
Yeah, I think so. And then also just getting started on something that didn't overwhelm me. It was a huge step at the time, but now I look at it and I'm like, that would be a super easy project for some of the stuff that I'm doing now. So I'm encouraging people, hey, if you're wanting to get started, there's so many down payment programs, there's so many things you can do to just get that one and then start figuring it out from there. Because I think a lot of people for me, I thought there's going to be a lot more issues that have not materialized, because if you do stuff consistently and treat people right, a lot of those problems don't come up. So I've had toilets break, I've had water mains break, I've had a lot of stuff happen, but it's never been this horror story that you hear about in some of these groups. It's been more like an inconvenience and something you deal with and take care of and move on. And tenants understand that. They understand that things go wrong in these places, and as long as you're treating them with respect, respond and tell them, hey, here's how we're going to do it, even if it's not, because if I'm at work, I'm not going to take off and go fix something right away. I'll be like, hey, well, if it's not an emergency, be like, shut the water off, do this, do that, and we'll take care of it tomorrow or the day after even. Because if they're going to be dumb enough to flush that down their toilet, they can figure it out for a few hours. So,
Yeah. Joe, are you on your phone right now? Are you on YouTube on your phone?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you try go look at like yesterday's video and see if there's
Okay.
that. I'm pretty sure, like I said, I think it might have to. It's not on. I don't know if it's on live stream, but there's that hype thing. So people,
So
if you do
if I go
watch,
to a video and then go to comments,
try go to maybe the video that came out yesterday with maybe who was on Gus,
okay. So go,
and then if you go
so
to the comments
the
and if
live.
yeah, and if you go to the comments and if you swipe, is there like hype this video or something or hype? But let's see what else. Brady says there's a video about the book with links on his channel. Hyder says I got my hands full with pond work. Wet hands and electronic phone don't jive. Harrison is asking, Ike, what helped push you to the second property? Did you ever worry about having enough funds?
yes. And my goal was to grow. And so I got under contract on one, and then the duplex across from where I was living in that first duplex went up for sale. And so I ended up getting that under contract at the same time too. But everything goes in waves, and this is what I found. So I knew about 6 months in, when I wasn't having issues with my tenant, when I was living in a place pretty much rent free, that this was definitely something I was gonna be leaning on. And it's grown a lot from there, and learned a lot since then. But that first 6 months with having a good tenant just gave me a lot of it proved a lot of things to me personally, because you can hear on these podcasts, you can read on the books, you can do all this stuff, but until you actually experience it, it's not the same. So just get out and get that first one. That's what I'm encouraging. So
Yep. So it looks like Hyder says the hype option will appear after the video is liked. And then to Brady's point, I'm just not sure if it's on the live. So I don't know if it appears on the live. So it might have to be a regular, like after it comes out. I'm not sure. But yeah, definitely. Let's see.
Well, I was on the comments of your live yesterday. So Gus is, and I'm not tracking on what to do. So like
did
see
you
a
like
comment.
it first though? Like
I
Hyder
liked it,
said.
and then
There's like,
hold on to it, swipe.
Is there no hype thing?
3 buttons.
Good Lord. No wonder you can't access LinkedIn.
I'll figure it out.
Anyways, James Hillis does agree. I definitely have analysis paralysis after Dion being in my city. Did you meet up with? I know Dion was in Tennessee. I know James is in Tennessee. Did you meet up with him, James? And are you saying you have analysis paralysis because of the information that Dion provided, or his take on the market? Maybe you can clarify that a little bit. Hyder says yes. I think only the recorded videos. Anything else you guys want to touch on? I know. I don't know. You watch basketball, right?
not NBA.
Oh, not NBA. All right. Well, Gus got a little upset yesterday that people were saying ranking Kevin Durant ahead of LeBron James.
Yeah, I think those conversations are just ridiculous. So I like it because I mean, if you follow a good NFL team, there's a lot to appreciate. So
I like the Bears.
you don't have to keep jumping around from sport to sport. So
No, well, the weird thing is those get the most interaction though. Those sports, those are the ones that get the most interaction on my feed.
well, that's why ESPN does it. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
Speaking
Yeah,
of the NFL, I saw a clip where Tavon Austin, who was a St. Louis Ram, got cut off because he was announcing a third round pick for the Rams in the draft, and he said, "What's up to St. Louis?" before he announced the pick, and then they didn't broadcast. They cut that out, and they didn't include the St. Louis part.
damn.
Oh, interesting.
LA throwing out some hate.
Yeah. Well, I know Pittsburgh, the draft went really well there. I think they broke the record for the attendance. I think Detroit may have held the record recently for the amount of people that attended the NFL draft, and I think Pittsburgh just broke that. So it's pretty cool for the city. I know Jeremy folks went to check it out, but they said they got out of there before it got really crazy. I think they just wanted to see what it was like, kind of maybe the pre-event type of stuff, and then I think once the draft got started, they got out of the city area. So
I went. They had it in KC not too long ago, and I went up there like the third day, and it was still pretty hyped. It was pretty cool atmosphere. So NFL does a pretty good job with that. But
yeah, that's all I really got today. Like I said, Ike, I'm very impressed at how far you've come. Like I'm glad. It's very cool following you on X. If anyone wants to know more about Ike, follow him on X. He is in school. Also tonight is the Wednesday accountability call that can sometimes go up to 6 hours. So definitely you may not see it flashing on the school homepage as being available, but it's probably still going on. So just go jump on the calendar section and you'll still see the link there, and someone will probably be there. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get it. I don't know. I think I talked to you, but I think you've been on since then. What was your takeaway of the event, the year 3? So you and Joe was your first time at the ORAT Vegas event.
I thought it was good. I actually bought tickets to the very first year, and then I was over my head in one of my projects, so I didn't end up going. And then the second year, I was again over my head on a different project, so I didn't even buy tickets on that one. So I was happy to make it out there this year. Met some good people and had some good takeaways. But overall, I appreciate having the community to kind of bounce stuff off of, and I've got some local guys here that I can do the same with. But we all kind of get in the same rut, so it's kind of cool to see people across the nation with like different ideas, different things that are working for them versus just being a concept. And so I appreciated that. And I did meet somebody that's investing in Oklahoma, not too far away from where I'm at. So that's
at the event?
Yeah, at the event.
Oh.
So it's good for stuff like that. And like, I try to get on school now and again and interact, but most of the time, I'm paying attention. Like I'll log on that Wednesday one quite often, but usually I'm working on stuff. So I'm not actually talking on there, but I'm listening to what people are doing, what they're dealing with. And sometimes it's nice just to hear other people's issues and be like, okay, mine aren't that out of the ordinary. So
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is just, even like you said, I think even for myself, I think a lot of people just jump on the call, maybe put a headset on and they're doing other things. And it's just hearing other people's stories and realizing that you're not alone, and that a lot of this is kind of just part of the journey. It's kind of just normal stuff that happens. And it is never probably smooth sailing, right? You look at like even Dion, Lumberjack, Zuber, who are way ahead of most of us in the community, and even they have stuff that whether they're dealing with. I mean, you're always going to have tenant turnovers, you're always going to have an eviction, you're going to always have repairs. So it's just good to hear different people's perspectives. James Hillis is clarifying, did not meet with Dion, just his take on areas. Well, um, well, you know, Dion definitely does see things differently than a lot of people, and he does make you think, which is a good thing. But I'd also, James, if that's your area, I would probably trust my knowledge and kind of instincts of my takeaway, before someone else that just spend a few months there, kind of thing.
The other thing is Dion's not doing the house hack now or something like that. So if you live in an area and you're trying to invest in your area, the house hack tool is just so powerful, and I think it gets a little bit overshadowed because a lot of people are doing the out of state investing. No offense, Mark, but
No, I think he is gonna house hack though, right?
I don't know. I've heard her talk about investing in Tennessee, living in Texas, or vice versa, or something like that.
Oh no, so his three markets that he's kind of is Tennessee, Texas, and could still be Florida. Tennessee was on the top,
Yeah.
but it kind of has fallen into second after him spending whatever amount of time in Tennessee. Texas has seemed to have leapfrogged it, so now he's going to spend some time in Texas to see how he likes that. But I think his vision is still to house hack, but it's going to be like he wants to start getting more animals and getting back to almost like a kind of like a farm type of thing. So I even think he talked about house hacking to where the tenants are going to probably get maybe some lease or rent reduction when maybe he's traveling for them to take care of the animals type of thing. So I think that's kind of his vision. But Texas, I think, has leapfrogged to the top right now.
There you go.
I don't know. No one's ever said who Joe is as a basketball player, but um, actually, Harrison said he's working on a list to break down who he sees everyone's kind of style. He says he sees Ike as James Worthy, a player who puts the work in with fundamentals and wins. And it's so funny he says that because I just told someone yesterday that James Worthy is so overrated.
Wow.
No, I just so happened to be talking to someone about I believe James Worthy made top 50 players of the NBA. And then I was like, man, he's probably one of the most overrated, I feel. And then Harrison goes, he sees Ike as James Worthy. Hey, I see Hugo's here. What's up, man? Not $350, 350, but yes, no, he just said, yeah, yes, I hit 350,000 views on YouTube, which is pretty cool.
Congrats,
Um,
man.
I think Joel, you blew past that, yeah, because you get a lot on your shorts, right?
Yeah, I'm past that, I think. Or no,
Yeah.
I don't know. How would
Um,
I find out?
I thought you posted it at some point. Well, if you go to your
I
analytics, you can
I
see.
did.
Yeah. Marlon says, yeah, he says I house hack and have out of state. So these shows are spot on personally. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, Marlon, is a big supporter. So always thank you for stopping by. Hey, Josh Burdick says he needs to spend a summer in Texas. That may change his mind.
Yep.
Yeah, possibly. Use vidIQ, Joel. That's what Hugo's telling you. He said
Yeah,
use he says
I
use my
do.
link.
I already do. Yeah, I have 421,000 views in the last year, but I have one short that's got 200,000 views.
Really? How the hell? What short is that of?
It's one that has talking heads in it.
Oh, that's
But
crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a lot, man. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Well,
awesome,
that's why
man.
my channel has only 300 and something subscribers because it's a one hit wonder. So
Oh, that's gonna be your NBA player then, whoever that was. Like one good season. Um, yeah. Anything else? Anything else? Ike, I got any questions for Joel or myself? Any final words you want to wrap it up with, or
No,
any
I
place
just
else? X the best place to find you? Is that the best place to reach out to you at?
X, Instagram, you can DM me on there. I don't post as much real estate stuff related. I do some now and again, but if you're in the Midwest or anywhere and you're self-managing and want to talk, like that's kind of my big thing right now is trying to get better at my systems and processes.
Okay. Quickly then, what systems do you use to help self-manage?
A lot of spreadsheets right now, but I'm doing the onboarding process with DoorLoop, so trying to get better at that. It's a little bit expensive for what I'm doing, but it seems like it'll work out a lot better. So I'm using DoorLoop, and then I got Stessa. Stessa was what I was using before that. But I like the Hemlane thing, but I'm in a rural area, so getting them to set up contractors, things like that, it's very hard for me. So I can't imagine they'd be able to do much with that. So, but
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
kind of my focus right now is trying to figure out better ways to raise private money and then get better at the processes for managing, because that's kind of my sweet spot.
All right. Harrison says Worthy got his rank bumped higher because he's with the Lakers, but could still take a team to a championship by himself. I don't know about that. Harrison, we're going to have to get you back on and have some discussion about this because I don't know if I agree with that.
Who are you, Mark?
Harrison said I am like Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah.
How did he explain it again? Kind of overshadowed a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I forgot how he exactly put it, but yeah, he said Rasheed Wallace. But oh yeah, Joel was Rajon Rondo. That's what he said. Remember?
How do you guys see? I don't get how you guys remember all these names and stuff. So
top level brain to make things work with his team.
Yeah.
Will crush Doc Rivers through annoyance or bad play calling.
That's right. I see the court, and then when I got space, I'll throw it up there in a heartbeat.
Brady
like
says, "Hey, build a couple specs to build your own capital pool, then you don't need partners." Oh, there you go.
That's thought, but every time I get cash right now, I leverage it. So
that you know that is yeah, part of the, because you know I feel like you probably feel like what you're doing is working.
Yep.
And then it's like do I want to kind of hold off and jump to the next, and that's what Zuber talks about, right? He said a lot of the people, when he did portfolio reviews and broke down their portfolios, that was the one maybe common thing, is where he felt like people were doing something that worked and then they decided to pivot or try something new too soon, and that's kind of why they're in this such a dilemma or kind of confusion in what their portfolio looks like, right? So they kind of were doing something for so many years, and then they felt like, oh, I can jump to the next thing, right? I feel like that's probably where you're at, where you're doing is working, and it's like it's pulling you a little bit to want to do something else, but you're kind of staying focused on what you're doing.
Yeah, trying to stay focused. I've got a flip right now, which was kind of a proof of concept for me, and I don't really like that as much. So, but it's working out fine, and we should get it live here in the next week or so. But it is one of those things where like I get distracted very easily, like the property management thing, going out, starting a lawn service, doing things like that. Like I have to be pretty disciplined to not get distracted. So right now I've kind of set like up until I'm a certain age. So I got 2 more years on my timeline of I want to stay focused on the buy and hold with maybe a flip here and there or sell something here and there. And then at that point, kind of sit down and try to figure out what I want to do in the next 5 years. So.
All right, very cool. So yes, go follow Joel on YouTube. Go like, subscribe. You can also connect with Joe on Instagram. And like I said, Ike is on X primarily. If you haven't yet, also, Joe does have a awesome newsletter. So go subscribe there, check him out. And I'll be back. Let's see. Zuber's back, so I'll be recording with him tomorrow. I'll be back Friday with Emily, though. I know she just dropped a new video with Gus, so go check out Emily's channel also. But Brady says self-manage the build and you can collateralize the equity stay by not paying a GC fee. Build a home for almost no money out of pocket. Sell it and take the profit. Rinse and repeat. And then Harrison says Rashid is a top tier passer and scorer, but chose to uplift his team over individual success. Also, not afraid to call the refs out on bad calls. I'll agree with that part.
Sounds like Brady wants to be your next guest.
Yeah, Brady's welcome to come on, man. Brady, yeah, we should get Brady on. I don't know about.
Who do you have for next week?
Ashley Pereira. That's right. Ashley Pereira from school will be joining us. She was at the Vegas event. Also, she's in California and she invests in Rochester, New York. So she'll be on next week. And the following week is Trisha Gonzalez will be on the following week. And I found some on the following week after that is Delroy. Delroy Samuels is in school. He invests in Connecticut. He was on Curtis's YouTube channel a few weeks back. So Curtis PE turned RE had him on. Delroy is doing a lot of cool stuff out in Connecticut. So yeah, we're lined up for the next 3 weeks. If anyone wants to, I do have Tuesday joining me and Gus is Alana. She was on Gus's YouTube channel on Behind the Doors recently, so she'll be joining me on Tuesday with Gus. But yeah, definitely. We'll try to get Brady on. I don't know about those build to rent guys though; they're kind of flaky, man. So we'll see how that works out. But we'll definitely try to get him on. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. And like I said, if you do watch or have a chance, you watch the replay, see if there's that hype option, and if you can, swipe the hype. If not, like I said, you have a few chances to do it per week, I believe. But everyone, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see everyone back on Friday.
Cool. See y'all. Thanks, Ike.
Thanks, Mark.